Hello and welcome to Sleepy Science Story. This is your time to settle in, let your shoulders soften, and allow the edges of the day to blur a little. Tonight, we're going to wander together through 100 curious and comforting facts about the moon. You see it nearly every night, but it still manages to keep its mysteries tucked away, like a friend who always has one more story to tell. I do hope this video isn't so interesting it keeps you awake, but if it does, at least your dreams will be filled with moonlight. Before we begin, I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from tonight. It always makes me smile to imagine these quiet stories reaching sleepy minds scattered across every corner of the globe. If you find comfort here, a gentle like on this video and a soft tap on subscribe would mean the world. Thank you to everyone who's already part of this cozy corner. Now, take a slow breath in, let it out even slower, and picture the night sky above you. Our journey begins. Long before city lanterns and glowing screens, the first light many humans ever trusted was the silver wash of the moon. It rose above ancient fires and whispered a steady promise that night was never fully dark. Imagine being part of those early communities, sitting around a fire while shadows stretched long and uncertain. The fire gave warmth, yes, but it flickered and faded. Beyond its reach lay a dark world, full of unknowns. And then there was the moon. A calm, steady glow high above, untouchable but faithful. Unlike fire, it did not sputter out. Unlike stars, it was close enough to feel like it belonged to us. The moon became the quiet guardian of the night. For thousands of generations, people lifted their eyes to it. Some saw a companion, others saw a god. For many, it was simply a lamp in the sky, guiding their steps along paths, rivers, and forests. The moon lit oceans where early sailors risked their lives. It cast silver across deserts, where nomads traced their roots. Wherever humans wandered, they wandered with moonlight. There is something remarkable about that consistency. Every culture, every time, no matter how far apart, has shared in this same experience. The moon's light is not biased. It does not choose whom to shine upon. A child falling asleep in Africa centuries ago, a hunter in Asia, a poet in Greece, or you right now, each has been bathed in the same silver glow. That continuity is almost soothing in itself. Of course, scientifically speaking, the moon does not produce its own light. It borrows sunlight, reflecting it softly back to us. But perhaps that makes it even more special. Its light is a softened echo, a gentler version of the sun's fire. It is the same energy that grows crops and warms the skin, now filtered into something cooler, quieter, more forgiving. It's as if the sun speaks loudly by day, and the moon whispers the same message at night. In the language of physics, the moon's brightness is faint compared to the sun's. Its surface reflects only about 12% of the sunlight that touches it. That's not much at all. And yet, when it hangs in the dark sky, it feels radiant. Our eyes are adapted for contrast. Against the deep velvet blackness of space, even a faint reflection looks like brilliance. That is why moonlight feels magical. It tricks us into seeing abundance where there is very little. Poets, naturally, did not need physics to tell them this. They wrote about moonlight as if it were silver dust poured across the sky, or milk spilling into rivers, or a companion who followed faithfully behind. In a way, the moon has been humanity's nightlight, both literal and metaphorical. So the first light people ever trusted, the first light that let them step beyond the fire, was not man-made. It was the moon's. It has been steady for billions of years, and it will remain long after our modern lights fade away. And perhaps, as you listen now, you feel the same quiet reassurance. The moon has not failed anyone yet. It glows softly, even tonight just outside your window, reminding you that night is never completely dark. If you look closely, the moon wears its history on its face. Each crater is a fossilized bruise from a long-ago cosmic bump, quietly preserved like rings inside a tree. Gaze up at the moon some clear night, and you'll see the pale freckles, the dips, the shallow bowls and giant dark patches, all pressed gently into its surface. Unlike Earth, where wind and water are always busy sweeping away old scars, the moon has no such caretakers. There are no rains to fill the pits, no forests to cover the cracks. Every impact, no matter how ancient, is left in place, becoming a permanent mark in the moon's ever-growing scrapbook. Some of these craters are no bigger than a coin, others could swallow entire cities. The smallest were formed by pebbles and dust, traveling impossibly fast, smacking into the moon and making a mark that would outlast even the grandest human monuments. The largest, like the South Pole Aitken Basin, are so enormous that they shape the very outline of the moon itself, wide enough to fit several countries within their rim. If the moon were a face, these would be the grand old laugh lines and furrows, evidence of a long, eventful life. You might imagine, if you could run your fingers over the moon, that you'd feel its surface as pitted and battered. In reality, it's a world of soft dust, gently piled around sharp ridges. Astronauts who walked there found that each step stirred up powder, sending little clouds drifting, only to settle again in the next low place, a tiny echo of the vast collisions that shaped these features in the first place. Every crater has a story, even if most of them are lost to time. Some formed when our solar system was a wild, chaotic place, with asteroids and comets darting through space like children on a playground, sometimes bumping into one another, sometimes slamming into the moon. There were no witnesses, no one to say ouch, no one to patch up the wound. Instead, the moon simply absorbed the blow and carried on, quietly collecting every mark for billions of years. Counting the moon's craters is a bit like reading an ancient diary, one written not with ink but with stone and dust. Scientists actually do try to count them, using telescopes and photographs from lunar missions. They use the numbers to guess how old a part of the surface is. The more craters, the older that landscape. A fresh, smooth patch might mean something dramatic happened recently, like a lava flow or a newer impact. But most of the moon is covered in scars, a sign that its days of heavy bombardment are long past but never forgotten. Sometimes, people name the largest or most interesting craters after scientists, philosophers, and even artists. There's a crater named for Copernicus, and one for Plato. In a way, humanity honors both its thinkers and the great cosmic events that shaped our closest neighbor. So, the next time you look up at the moon, take a moment to appreciate those ancient craters. They're more than scars, they're the moon's memories, left quietly in place for anyone with the patience to notice. On the horizon, the moon swells into what feels like a glowing balloon. This is just an optical trick of the mind, but it makes the moon feel close enough to touch, like a coin balancing on your fingertip. This is one of those quiet wonders that even scientists can't fully explain. Most of us have felt it. You step outside just as dusk arrives, and there's the moon, hanging low and enormous, almost heavy with light. It hovers behind rooftops or trees, turning street corners into stages for its entrance. It might be pale gold, pumpkin orange, or milky white, but always, somehow, it seems much larger than usual, like it's come closer just to say hello. This effect, called the moon illusion, is one of the oldest and most delightful tricks our brains play on us. If you were to hold up a ruler or your thumb at arm's length, you'd find that the moon is exactly the same size in the sky, whether it's on the horizon or high overhead. Its size doesn't really change at all. The swelling is in our perception, not in the moon itself. But why does our mind do this? Well, imagine looking at the moon high up, floating all alone in the open sky. There's nothing to compare it to, no trees or houses or distant mountains to put things in scale. But when the moon is near the horizon, it shares the stage with all those familiar sights, buildings, trees, rolling hills. Our brains measure its size against those earthly objects, and suddenly the moon feels huge, impossibly grand, almost within reach. Some scientists think it's also about distance. Our minds know the horizon is far away, so when we see the moon sitting on that far edge, we imagine it must be bigger to appear so prominent from so far. It's like the way a friend waving from across a field seems larger than life, just for being part of the big, wide world. And then, there's the feeling. Something about a big, low-hanging moon taps into our memories. Maybe it's a childhood night, bare feet in the grass, crickets singing, the moon hovering behind a neighbor's chimney, so close you could almost call out to it. Or a long drive home with the moon rising above the road, following you all the way back, changing shape and color as the car winds through sleepy neighborhoods. Sometimes, when the moon is especially close to Earth in its orbit, a moment called perigee, it truly is a bit larger and brighter, a supermoon. But even then, most of the effect is still an illusion. It's as if the moon knows how to perform a little magic, how to make itself loom and glow just to remind us of its presence. So the next time you catch the moon looking oversized and magnificent, don't rush. To explain it away, let yourself enjoy the trick. Hold out your hand, imagine balancing that silver coin, and remember that sometimes our own minds make the universe feel more wondrous than it already is. For all of history, we saw only one side of the moon. Its far side remained a mystery until spacecraft peeked around, revealing a surface less familiar and far more battered. It's hard to imagine, but for thousands upon thousands of years, every poet, dreamer, and scientist who gazed up at the moon was always looking at the same lunar face. The same familiar features: a frown of craters, the dark seas called Maria, the shapes people saw as faces, rabbits, or even dragons all belong to the near side. If the moon were a coin spinning above us, we only ever saw one side of it. The other side, the far side, was locked away, always turned away from Earth as if keeping its secrets for itself. This gentle cosmic dance is known as tidal locking. The moon spins on its own axis, but it takes just as long to rotate once as it does to orbit around our planet. So, one lunar day is one lunar month. That means the same side always faces us, like a loyal friend never turning their back. The other side, the so-called dark side, although it gets just as much sunlight, remained forever out of sight. Imagine the mystery this created. People could map every hill and hollow they saw, but no one could even guess what lay beyond the edge. Was it the same? Was it wild and strange? Some wondered if there were civilizations or strange markings out there after all. When something is hidden, our minds love to fill in the gaps with stories. It wasn't until 1959, when the Soviet spacecraft Luna 3 snapped the first photos from the far side, that we finally got a peek. What we saw was surprising. The far side was rougher, with many more craters, and almost none of the wide, dark seas we see on the near side. It was a face that looked older, a bit more battered, like the moon had been holding back its weary side until now. Why the difference? Scientists think it might be because of the way the moon's crust formed. The near side is thinner, so ancient lava could flow out and fill in the basins, creating those broad, dark plains we see from Earth. The far side's crust is thicker, so it kept most of its craters, wearing them like medals of survival. For some, the far side of the moon became a new symbol of things that are hidden, or out of reach, or only understood after a long wait. Even now, you can't see it without the help of a spacecraft. It's still a little bit of a mystery, and that's part of its charm. So next time you look up at the moon, remember, the friendly face you see is only half the story. There's a whole other side, full of craters and ancient secrets, forever turning just out of sight. The moon reminds us that even the things we think we know best might still be keeping a little mystery tucked away, waiting for us to wonder. The moon is a choreographer of tides. With every gentle pull, it coaxes the ocean in and out, like the slow breathing of the planet itself. Picture the moon gliding silently above the dark water, night after night. Beneath its steady gaze, something miraculous happens. The world's oceans respond, rising and falling in time to the moon's silent rhythm. It's as if the moon has a soft hand outstretched, and with every orbit, it tugs at the watery blankets covering Earth, drawing them closer and then letting them go. This is not just poetry, it's physics, unfolding in every corner of our blue planet. Tides might seem like simple things. The sea comes in, the sea goes out, but the reality is a little more wondrous. As the moon circles the Earth, its gravity reaches out across space, stretching the oceans ever so slightly. Where the moon's pull is strongest, the water bulges toward it, creating a high tide. On the opposite side of the planet, another high. The tide rises, thanks to the motion of the Earth and the play of gravitational forces. In between, the water falls away, making low tides. This cycle is gentle but relentless. Twice each day, every coastline in the world feels the moon's embrace, as predictable as the sunrise and just as ancient. For countless generations, people have set their clocks by the tides. Fishermen, sailors, and beachcombers all know that the moon's invisible hand rules the timing of waves and the treasures left behind on shore. But the moon doesn't work alone. The sun joins in too, sometimes helping, sometimes gently competing. When the sun, moon, and Earth line up, we get extra high spring tides and extra low neap tides, a tug of war played out on a planetary stage. Still, the moon's gravity is the main conductor, the partner leading this watery waltz. Even animals are tuned to the moon's dance. Sea turtles lay their eggs when the tides are highest. Tiny crabs emerge to feed, and vast schools of fish time their migrations to the rhythm of the moon. On some beaches, you can watch as millions of tiny creatures make their move all at once, guided not by clocks or calendars, but by the slow, silent swing of lunar gravity. And if you've ever walked along the shore with the tide far out, you've seen the ocean's secrets revealed, a memory of where the water once stood, shells glinting in the sand, tidal pools brimming with life. The next time the moon calls, all that water will return, and the beach will look different again. So when you watch the moon rise over the water, know that you're witnessing an ancient partnership, a silent choreography that has been unfolding for billions of years. The moon and ocean are locked in a gentle embrace, moving together in time, shaping coastlines and guiding creatures, orchestrating the slow, endless breath of our world. And maybe, as you drift to sleep tonight, you'll sense the rhythm too, the rising and falling of your own breath, perfectly in step with the tides, and the moon above keeping time. Apollo astronauts discovered that moon dust is clingier than glitter at a birthday party. It stuck to gloves, boots, and even eyebrows, refusing to let go. Imagine stepping out of your spacecraft after days of floating through weightless silence, only to set your boots on ground that's older than any mountain on Earth. The first thing you'd notice before the eerie quiet, before the endless grey, is the way the moon dust greets you, not with a handshake, but with a playful, stubborn embrace. This dust, called regolith, is unlike anything here on Earth. It's made from billions of years of constant bombardment by meteoroids and the harsh sunlight of space. With no wind or rain to soften its edges, each tiny particle is sharp and jagged, shaped like shards of glass, rather than the round grains of beach sand we know. The moon's surface is coated with this powder, sometimes several meters thick, in a soft but unfriendly welcome mat. When the Apollo astronauts first took those famous steps, they immediately noticed the dust's peculiar personality. It clung to their suits in a way that felt almost magical, and then stubbornly refused to come off. You can see it in the old photos: boots caked in grey, gloves smeared in soot, helmet visors streaked with the marks of moonwalks. The dust even found its way inside the lunar module, where it floated in the air, settled on equipment, and left a gritty, metallic scent. One astronaut, Harrison Schmitt, described the smell as something between gunpowder and fireplace ashes, a scent he'd never quite experienced before or since. Others talked about how the dust got into every crack and seam, sometimes making zippers stiff and switches sticky. When they tried to brush it off, it only seemed to settle deeper, as if the moon itself wanted to leave a reminder behind. Part of the problem is the moon's lack of atmosphere. There's nothing to smooth or weather the dust, and no moisture to help it clump and fall away. Plus, in the dry, electrically charged environment, the dust particles actually pick up static electricity, making them even more likely to cling to anything that touches them: spacesuits, tools, even bare skin. Scientists still study moon dust today. They wonder how it will affect future missions, whether it might harm machinery, or if there's a way to keep it from hitching a ride home on every boot and backpack. In some ways, it's become a symbol of the moon's quiet mischief, an ever-present reminder that even a world so still and silent can have a sense of humor. So, if you ever dream of walking on the moon, be prepared to meet its mischievous side. The dust will be waiting for you, sharp-edged and persistent, eager to come along for the ride. And just like those Apollo explorers, you might spend the rest of your journey brushing moon glitter from your eyebrows and laughing at how some souvenirs refuse to be left behind. On Earth, wind and rain erase our steps. On the moon, there is no weather to sweep them away. Astronaut footprints from 50 years ago still sit there, as crisp as the day they were made. Imagine taking a stroll along a sandy beach or across a snowy field. Your footsteps appear and vanish almost in the same moment, washed away by waves, covered by the next breeze, smoothed out by tomorrow's sunlight or rain. Even in a quiet forest, the Earth is always changing, ready to erase the evidence of your passing. But on the moon, time moves differently. Each step stays exactly where it lands, pressed into dust that has not shifted in millions of years. When the Apollo astronauts stepped down onto the lunar surface, they became the first living beings to leave a mark on this untouched world. The grey dust yielded softly beneath their boots, capturing every ridge and groove of the soles. There were no birds to scatter the powder, no rivers to reshape the land. Those footprints were like signatures in a guestbook, bold, fresh, and quietly astonishing. Because the moon has no atmosphere, there's no wind to blow the dust, no rain to wash it away, no plants to grow up and cover it. Even the tiniest craters and the lightest marks remain frozen in place, perfectly preserved. The only way a footprint would disappear is if a meteorite struck the exact same spot, a rare event on such a wide, silent plain. If you could visit the Apollo landing sites today, you would still see the patterns left by astronauts decades ago. Their footprints circle the lunar module, tracing cautious first steps and confident leaps. There are drag marks from equipment, smudges from experiment setups, and even the prints left by little lunar rovers. The entire scene is a still life of adventure, perfectly preserved as if the visitors have just stepped away for a quick nap. Somewhere, dust from their boots is still there, undisturbed, perhaps gently shadowed by the lander's legs or lying in bright sunlight. Each mark is a story, the first hesitant steps, the quick skips, the excited hops, as astronauts discovered they could jump much higher in the moon's weaker gravity. You can almost picture them laughing, their voices carried not by air but by radio, their joy written in the lines they left behind. Scientists estimate these marks could last for millions of years, maybe even longer. The moon is a patient archivist. It keeps the record of every visitor, every wandering machine, every crash and landing. In a way, it's the universe's quiet scrapbook, holding memories in place with a kind of stubborn gentleness. So, as you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine those footprints steady, silent, untouched by time. They are more than marks in the dust. They are reminders that even in the vastness of space, a single step can last forever. The moon holds our memory with a kindness that the changing Earth can't quite match. Though none of us have sniffed the moon directly, astronauts said lunar dust smelled a little like burnt gunpowder when it clung to their suits and helmets. Imagine a fireplace after a long winter night. It's a surprising thing to think about, the idea that a place so far away, so silent and still, might carry its own unique scent. Yet the story of the moon's smell is one of those delightful details hidden in the history of exploration. When the first astronauts finished their moonwalks and sealed the hatch behind them, they brought some of the moon in with them. Lunar dust clung to everything, refusing to be left outside. It coated boots, gloves, and even the delicate joints of their suits. Inside the lunar module, as they took off their helmets, that dust floated into the air. The astronauts each noticed it in their own way. Some compared it to the sharp scent of spent fireworks, or the lingering aroma of a campfire's last ashes. It was a smell that caught them by surprise, strong, metallic, and a little smoky, not at all like the fresh air of home. In their reports, they described it as gritty and dry, a scent that spoke of ages spent under the fierce sun, unsoftened by wind or water. Scientists believe the moon's smell is thanks to the way sunlight and cosmic rays break apart rocks and minerals, leaving the lunar dust full of reactive particles. When those particles finally touch the moist air inside a spacecraft, they react instantly, just for a moment, releasing an odor that has been locked away for billions of years. It's a reminder that even in the vacuum of space, chemistry is always at work, quietly shaping every grain of dust. Astronauts sometimes found the scent comforting, even nostalgic. Something about it reminded them of their childhood adventures or of fireworks lighting up a summer night. But it could also be a nuisance. The dust was hard to clean, clinging to everything it touched, and the smell followed them until the end of their refi. To mission, imagine trying to sleep, your nose filled with the faint, persistent memory of a bonfire on the moon. Of course, if you were to step onto the lunar surface without a helmet, you wouldn't smell anything at all. The moon has no air to carry scents. Only the brief, private moment when the dust met the cabin's oxygen allowed the smell to exist. It's a secret the moon shares only with those who have visited, a hidden handshake between worlds. So, as you tuck yourself in tonight, imagine the strange, smoky perfume of lunar dust, a scent shaped by sunlight and silence, carried home on the boots of explorers. It is one of the moon's most unusual gifts, a reminder that even a world as quiet and distant as ours closest neighbor can leave a lasting impression on the senses. The moon shines, but not on its own. Its glow is sunlight, softened and returned to us like a lullaby echo. If you've ever stood outside on a clear night, looking up at a full moon, you know its light is something special. It bathes rooftops in silver, turns sidewalks into rivers of quiet glow, and makes even the most familiar places feel mysterious and new. But if you could hold a piece of the moon in your hands, you'd quickly see it doesn't make any light itself. It is, in fact, a world of grey rock and ancient dust, silent and cold. The moon's gentle radiance is borrowed entirely from the sun, a reflection sent back across the vast emptiness of space. This sharing of light is a lesson in cosmic generosity. Every ray that touches the moon first travelled 93 million miles from the sunday. Some rays land on the moon's powdery surface, striking tiny fragments of glass, crushed rock, and metallic minerals. There, the light scatters, some is swallowed, but much is bounced back toward us, changed and softened. The harsh brilliance of sunlight is tamed by lunar dust, transformed into the moonlight that glows so gently on our world. Only about 12% of the proof. Sunlight that strikes the moon ever makes it back to Earth. That's less than the reflection from a fresh snowfall or a white sandy beach. Still, because the night sky is so dark, this quiet light seems almost magical, glowing just enough to paint shadows, to light a pathway, to remind us that we're never fully alone in the dark. This borrowed light changes shape each month, waxing and waning in its endless gentle cycle. The familiar crescent, the soft half-moon, the glorious full each is a different angle of sunlight reflected off the lunar surface. Even the dark new moon isn't truly gone, it's just turned its reflective face away from us, quietly waiting for its next turn in the light. There's a special kind of moonlight too, that appears after sunset or just before dawn when the sun's rays bounce off the earth and then back up to the moon. Sometimes, you can see the outline of the whole moon, softly glowing, even when only a thin crescent is lit. This gentle phenomenon is called earthshine. It's as if our planet is sending a little light back to the moon, and the moon is kind enough to share it with us once more. Artists, poets, and dreamers have always felt something mysterious in moonlight. It is not the proud, golden blaze of day, but something quieter and more comforting, as if the universe has set a lamp by your window to watch over your sleep. And perhaps that's the true magic. The moon doesn't need to shine on its own to be beautiful. It simply reflects what it receives, and in doing so, turns borrowed brilliance into something entirely its own. So tonight, as you watch the moon from your window, or let its silver light drift through your dreams, remember, even borrowed light can be enough to brighten the darkness. Before watches ticked on wrists, the moon told time, its cycle of waxing and waning, guided planting, harvesting, and celebrations across cultures. Imagine a world before the hum of cell phones or the ticking of wall clocks, a world where night stretched longer and darker, and the moon's bright face was one of the only lights in the sky. For most of human history, people watched the moon the way we now watch a clock, tracking its slow journey from new to full, from slender crescent to perfect circle and back again. Each phase was like a number on a dial, marking the passage of time in quiet, reliable steps. Farmers looked to the moon before they sowed seeds or gathered crops. Some believed the waxing moon, when its light was growing, was best for planting above-ground crops, while the waning moon signaled a time for harvesting or tending roots. This lunar calendar, passed down through generations, wasn't just about superstition. It reflected a deep respect for nature's patterns. After all, the tides moved to the moon's rhythm, and animals too seemed to follow its cues, stirring and nesting with the changing light. In many places, the moon was the world's first calendar. Ancient civilizations carved notches on bones or built stone monuments that lined up with the moon's cycle. Every 29.5 days, the moon would complete its round trip, and a new month, literally a new month, would begin. Even today, our word month is a quiet echo of this connection, a reminder that long before digital calendars, people kept time with eyes lifted to the sky. The moon's phases also set the stage for celebrations. Festivals, feasts, and rituals were often timed to the full moon, when its light made the world feel safer and more festive. In China, families still gather to admire the mid-autumn moon, sharing mooncakes and stories. In other cultures, the first crescent of the new moon marks the start of months or sacred times. Ramadan, Passover, Easter, Diwali across the world. These holidays dance in step with the lunar calendar, weaving science and tradition into a tapestry of human experience. Long ago, Sailors used the moon to help them navigate dark seas, timing their voyages by its light. Poets measured longing in the space between new and full. Lovers sent messages by moonbeam, and children watched the moon's changing shape like a bedtime story unfolding, night after night. Even now, with atomic clocks ticking away and hidden labs and satellites syncing our devices, there's something quietly reassuring about the moon's old rhythm. It asks for no batteries, needs no updates, and runs on a schedule set billions of years ago. You can still step outside and look up, knowing that the same moon has kept watch over every ancestor, every wandering dreamer, every sleepy village and bustling city since time began. So next time you glance at the moon, remember, it is more than a lamp in the dark. It is the oldest clock in the sky, gently marking the days, reminding us that time, like moonlight, moves in soft and silent circles. Just as Earth has earthquakes, the moon trembles too. These moonquakes are softer, slower, as if the moon itself is stretching after a long nap. It's a strange thing to imagine a place as quiet and still as the moon, suddenly shivering deep below the surface. For most of us, the moon feels frozen in the night sky, its silent glow unbroken by any hint of movement. Yet beneath that layer of grey dust, the moon is not entirely still. Sometimes it quivers. Sometimes it shifts. Astronauts who visited left behind seismometers, delicate instruments that can sense even the faintest of shakes. Thanks to these quiet sentinels, we now know the moon has its own sleepy heartbeat. Moonquakes come in a few different flavors, each with its own gentle rhythm. Some are caused by the daily warming and cooling of the lunar surface. The moon's day lasts 2 Earth weeks, baking the rocks under harsh sunlight, then plunging them into deep cold at night. As the ground expands and contracts, tiny cracks and pops ripple through the crust, a cosmic sigh after long hours in the sunday. Other moonquakes are deeper and slower, rumbling far below the surface, almost like the moon rolling over in its sleep. These deep quakes can last for minutes, sometimes gently shaking the ground up to 4 hours, much longer than the typical earthquake on Earth. But even then, the tremors are soft, muted by the moon's dense, dry crust. Occasionally, a wayward meteorite will crash down, sending a sharp jolt through the ground. Without air or water to cushion the blow, the vibration travels farther and lingers longer, echoing through underground caves and tunnels. It's as if the moon rings like a bell, the sound fading out ever so slowly, returning at last to its quiet rest. Unlike Earth, the moon's core is cold and mostly solid, so its quakes don't reshape the landscape or topple mountains. There are no cities to tumble, no oceans to stir. Even the dust lies undisturbed, its gentle blanket hiding any trace of the shivers below. If you were to stand on the moon during one of these quakes, you might not even notice a small shudder, a little vibration, maybe a few pebbles shifting at your feet. The moon prefers to keep its rest undisturbed. Scientists study moonquakes to learn what lies beneath the surface. By listening to the echoes of each shake, they can map hidden layers, uncover ancient secrets, and slowly piece together the moon's inner story. These faint tremors remind us that even the quietest places are still alive, still moving in ways we may never see. So next time you look up at the moon, remember, it isn't just a silent lantern fixed in the sky. It breathes, it shifts, it stretches in the dark, sending out tiny, patient quakes like a body waking from a long, peaceful sleep. The moon is always moving, even when it looks perfectly still. Some craters near the lunar poles are colder than Pluto, locked in shadows the sun never touches. They are like cosmic freezers, storing secrets for billions of years. Imagine a place so cold that not even sunlight can warm it, a corner of the moon where the day never arrives. These shadowy craters sit at the lunar north and south poles, with walls so steep that sunlight skims past them, leaving the depths forever hidden in darkness. If you could peer inside, you'd find a landscape that hasn't changed in billions of years, a region untouched since the moon was young. Temperatures in these craters drop to nearly -250 degrees Celsius, far colder than any night on Earth, colder even than the icy plains of Pluto, far beyond our own planet's reach. This is cold in its purest form, where heat cannot linger and molecules barely move. Here, the only light comes from distant starlight and the faintest glow of reflected Earthshine, casting everything in a ghostly bluish tint. Scientists sometimes call these places cold traps because they hold onto anything that falls inside water molecules, tiny fragments of comets, ancient cosmic dust. With no warmth, there's no way for these treasures to escape back into space. Layer by layer, year by year, these cosmic freezers fill up, storing samples of the solar system's history in perfect icy preservation. It's strange to think that, on a world so often described as dry and barren, the moon's coldest corners might actually hold water. When comets or meteorites carrying ice crash into the moon, some of their cargo lands in these deep craters. Protected from the heat of day, the ice stays frozen, hidden just beneath the surface. Scientists dream of someday sending robots, or even people, to scoop up this ancient ice, a time capsule waiting in the dark, holding clues to the moon's past and maybe even the origins of water on Earth. Exploring these frozen shadows is a challenge. The darkness is absolute, and the cold is relentless. Machines must be built to survive where batteries lose their charge and metal grows brittle. Still, the promise of untouched secrets draws explorers from all over the world. Every new mission, every careful photograph and gentle probe brings us closer to understanding what lies hidden in those eternal shadows. For now, the craters keep their silence, holding on to their mysteries with the patience of 1 billion winter nights. The coldest places we know are not on distant worlds, but right next door, in the corners of our own moon, a reminder that the universe still has quiet places left, waiting for someone curious enough to peek inside. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, picture those icy lunar craters, cold, dark, and perfectly still, cradling secrets older than any story we've ever told. In the moon's deep shadows, time itself seems to pause, holding space for dreams that may one day wake. Though once thought bone dry, the moon holds frozen water in its dark craters. Ancient ice lies waiting, a treasure chest of survival for future travelers. For most of human history, people gazed at the moon and imagined it as a place of total desolation, grey dust, hard rock, and endless emptiness. Even after the first astronauts walked on its surface, the story stayed the same. The moon was beautiful, mysterious, but hopelessly dry. Yet science, like the moon itself, sometimes keeps surprises tucked away in shadows. High above the moon's poles, deep craters cast such permanent darkness that sunlight hasn't touched their floors in billions of years. These are places colder than Pluto, where even time seems to move slower. It is here, in the quiet and the cold, that something precious has been hiding. Water, frozen into ancient ice. How did it get there? Long ago, comets and meteorites, nature's delivery trucks, slammed into the moon, carrying with them tiny grains of water ice. On most of the moon's surface, these would have quickly vanished, boiled away by the relentless Sunday. But in the frigid gloom of polar craters, the ice settled in and stayed, preserved in a cosmic deep freeze. Modern missions, using clever instruments that bounce radar and lasers into the dark, have detected telltale signs of ice lurking just beneath the dust. In some places, the ice may be mixed into the soil like sugar in coffee. In others, it forms small, pure pockets, tiny glaciers for future explorers to discover. Why does this matter? Because water, even in the tiniest amounts, changes everything. For future astronauts and lunar settlers, water means more than just something to drink. It can be split into oxygen for breathing and hydrogen for rocket fuel. It means crops could grow under domes, spacesuits could be rinsed clean, and journeys farther into the solar system could begin right from the moon's surface. In the coldest shadows, the moon keeps a quiet promise, survival for those brave enough to reach it. But the ice also holds secrets older than any human story. Some of the water locked away in these shadows may have been drifting through space before Earth was even born. To hold a piece of lunar ice is to hold a relic from the dawn of the solar system, a silent witness to everything that's ever happened under the sun and moon. It's a gentle reminder that what looks empty may be rich with possibility. The moon, so often thought barren, has hidden gifts for those who look closely, who peer into its darkest corners and let curiosity lead the way. So as you drift towards sleep, imagine the moon's secret treasure ice lying quietly in the shadows, waiting for new hands to find it, for new dreams to carry it into the light. In the coldest places, hope endures, quietly shimmering like a star tucked inside the moon. The moon spins in rhythm with Earth, always showing us one face. It is cosmic choreography, a perfect dance of rotation and orbit. If you look up at the moon, month after month, you'll notice something quietly magical. The same craters and dark plains are always turned toward you. The moon seems to wear a single expression, never turning its back, never, revealing the mysteries of its far side to the naked eye. For most of human history, people wondered why the moon never spun around to show its hidden half, as if it were playing a game of cosmic peekaboo. The reason lies in a gentle balance, a delicate partnership between the moon's rotation and its journey around Earth. The moon does spin, it completes one full turn on its axis every time it completes one full orbit around our planet. This matched timing is known as synchronous rotation, or more poetically, tidal locking. Picture two dancers spinning around each other, arms linked, moving in perfect unison so that one always faces the other, every step in sync. This cosmic choreography didn't happen by accident. Billions of years ago, when the moon was still young, it spun much faster. But over time, Earth's gravity tugged at the moon, slowing its rotation bit by bit, like a gentle hand steadying a spinning top. Eventually, the moon settled into this graceful rhythm, one side always gazing back at its partner, the other forever turned away. You might wonder what keeps this delicate balance in place. The answer is gravity, a force that tugs and pulls, sometimes in ways you can't see. Earth's gravity creates tiny bulges in the moon, stretching it ever so slightly. As the moon turned, those bulges always tried to line up with Earth, acting as a brake until the moon's spin slowed to just the right pace. Once that rhythm was found, it stuck and has held for eons. The side we see from Earth is called the near side. It's the familiar face we know, marked with bright highlands and dark Maria lunar seas that form patterns some people see as faces, others as rabbits, dragons, or ancient maps. The far side, meanwhile, remained a mystery until the age of space exploration. It's a little rougher, more cratered, a reminder that even close companions keep secrets. If you could stand on the moon and look back at Earth, you'd notice something strange. Earth would hang nearly motionless in your sky, always in the same spot, going through its own phases as sunlight dances across it. While Earth-bound stargazers trace the moon's path each night, a moon dweller would always know exactly where to look to find home. So next time you step outside and gaze at the moon, remember, you're witnessing a cosmic dance, a timeless duet held together by the quiet power of gravity and time. The moon's familiar face is a gentle reminder that even across the vastness of space, some bonds are strong enough to last forever. Scientists believe our moon was born from a fiery crash between Earth and a wandering planet. Out of chaos came a gentle companion. It's a story that sounds almost too dramatic to be real. Billions of years ago, when the solar system was young, Earth was not alone. The planets and their moons were still finding their places, orbiting the newborn sun in a cosmic waltz that was sometimes graceful, sometimes wild. Space was a crowded, turbulent place, full of drifting rocks, icy bodies, and planets in the making, all swirling in search of balance. One day, a planet-sized object now called Theia wandered too close to Earth. No one saw the collision, of course, but scientists have pieced together the evidence, using chemistry, physics, and a sprinkle of imagination. Theia and Earth collided in a spectacular, unimaginably powerful impact. The heat and force were so great that huge amounts of rock and metal were thrown up into space, forming a ring of molten debris that encircled our planet. For a while, Earth might have looked a bit like Saturn, with glowing arcs of dust and stone swirling around it. But out of this chaos, something remarkable happened. Over time, the floating debris cooled and began to clump together. Bit by bit, it gathered into a single growing sphere, a brand new moon, forged in fire, born from the shared pieces of two worlds. Gravity smoothed its edges, and the young moon slowly settled into its orbit, becoming the quiet companion we know today. Evidence for this dramatic birth is written in the very rocks brought back from the moon. They are eerily similar to Earth's crust, as if both worlds share the same ancient ingredients. The lack of water and volatile elements in lunar rocks also hints at a scorching, violent beginning, when heat drove away anything that could evaporate. Each sample is a piece of the puzzle, a clue left behind by that primordial impact. It's a comforting thought that, even after such a cataclysmic event, The result was not just ruin, but renewal. The moon that circles us now has calmed the chaos of our planet. Its gravity steadies Earth's tilt, keeping our seasons regular and our climate gentle. Its steady light has guided travelers, inspired poets, and kept company with all who've looked up at the night sky in wonder. In the end, the moon's origin story is a reminder that beauty can come from turmoil, and that even violent beginnings can lead to gentle, lasting friendships. The next time you see the moon hanging in a calm, peaceful sky, remember its wild origin, a child of collision, shaped by chaos, now keeping watch over us in quiet grace. So as you drift towards sleep, let your thoughts wander back through time, to the swirling clouds of dust and fire, and find peace in the moon's journey, from chaos to calm. When the moon hangs low and orange in autumn, farmers once worked by its light, gathering crops in a silver-orange haze that felt both practical and magical. The harvest moon is more than just a beautiful sight. It's a seasonal companion, woven into the story of human survival and celebration. Each autumn, just as the nights start to grow longer and the air turns crisp, the full moon closest to the autumn equinox rises early in the evening, its round face painted with the colors of pumpkin and candlelight. Unlike most full moons, which rise about 50 minutes, the later each night, the harvest moon seems to appear almost at the same time, night after night, bathing the world in a soft, lingering glow. For centuries, this gentle light was a gift to farmers racing against time. Before electricity or even reliable oil lamps, the days grew short just when the work was most urgent. The fields were heavy with wheat, corn and barley, waiting to be gathered before the frost arrived. The harvest moon gave extra hours for labor and laughter, letting families, neighbors and entire villages work together in a landscape transformed by moonlight. Picture the fields at dusk, golden stalks rustling in the cool air, the first stars blinking awake above the horizon. The moon climbs, impossibly large and low, its orange color the result of our atmosphere stretching and softening its light. Shadows lengthen, turning rows of crops into silver rivers, and workers pause to catch their breath and share stories under the open sky. It is easy to understand why people call this a magical time, light enough to see, soft enough to dream. The glow of the harvest moon also fueled old traditions and festivals. Some communities held dances or feasts when the work was done, celebrating the end of the growing season with music and food. Lanterns were lit, children played in the fields, and elders told tales of lucky moons and good harvests. Even now, the harvest moon is celebrated in many cultures, its arrival marking a time of thankfulness, reunion, and the gentle closing of summer's chapter. There's a bit of science behind the magic too. The harvest moon's early rise happens because of the angle of the moon's orbit compared to the horizon at this time of year. Instead of slipping away, the full moon lingers, hanging low and bright for several evenings. Its light, filtered through more of Earth's atmosphere, takes on those lovely amber and copper hues, turning the ordinary into something extraordinary. So the next time you catch sight of an orange moon rising just as twilight deepens, think of all those who've paused to admire the same glow, hands stained with earth and faces lit by the promise of a completed season. The harvest moon is a reminder that the natural world sometimes arranges its schedule just to make our lives a little brighter, and that wonder can be as simple as looking up. As you close your eyes tonight, let the soft light of the harvest moon drift through your dreams, practical, magical, and quietly timeless. On the moon, no one hears footsteps or voices without radios. There is no air to carry sound. It is a world of quiet deeper than any library. Imagine stepping out onto the moon, your boots pressing softly into ancient dust, the world stretching out before you in endless shades of grey. All around, the landscape is silent, a silence not just of the ears, but of the soul. On Earth we are surrounded by sound, whether we notice it or not. Wind in the trees, birds calling, the distant hum of traffic, even our own breathing. But on the moon, there is nothing at all. No wind, no water, no rustling leaves, just pure, unbroken quiet. Sound, after all, needs something to travel through air, water, even solid ground. On Earth, our voices ripple outward as vibrations, carried by the molecules all around us. But the moon has no atmosphere, no ocean of air for sound waves to ride. Even a shout, a laugh, a song without a radio, these would vanish as soon as they left your lips. The only way Apollo astronauts could speak to each other was through their radios, voices transmitted as radio waves, not as sound in the air. This means the moon's silence is absolute. Imagine standing on the edge of a crater, seeing another astronaut across the way. You can wave, you can jump and kick up dust, but your footsteps and laughter create no echo, no familiar thump or crunch. Even the machines the astronauts brought the lunar rover, the drills and hammers worked in utter quiet, their mechanical noise trapped inside their suits and equipment. Some astronauts described the experience as both peaceful and eerie. The quiet was so complete that even the gentle sound of their own breathing felt amplified, echoing inside their helmets like the ticking of a clock in a midnight house. Heartbeats and sighs became companions in the stillness, reminders that life, for all its noise, can also be measured in silence. But not all silence is lonely. On the moon, the hush is ancient, a patient listening that has endured for billions of years. It is a place where the only sounds are made by visitors, a new kind of music played just once and then gone. The moon remembers each vibration, each touch, in the marks and dust left behind, but it does not carry them as echoes. Here, time moves softly, unhurried, measured not in moments but in ages. Scientists say this silence is precious. In a world so full of noise, to step into true stillness is a rare gift. It is a space for wonder, for curiosity, for the kind of quiet thought that can lead to discovery. Even as we send more missions, more machines, and more people to explore, the deep hush of the moon endures. So tonight, as you settle in and the world around you grows quiet, remember the moon's soundless embrace. Let the silence wrap around you like a blanket, soft and endless, and know that sometimes the most powerful music is no music at all. From rabbits pounding rice cakes in Asia to lovers separated across the sky, the moon is stitched into stories everywhere, each tale casting it in a new costume. Long before telescopes and rockets, people everywhere turned their eyes upward and wondered about the face glowing gently in the night. The moon became a canvas for dreams, wishes, and warnings, a familiar companion that changed shape but never left, inspiring stories as varied as the cultures beneath its light. Each community, each family, embroidered the moon with its own meaning, creating a patchwork quilt of legends that stretches across time and continents. In China, and much of East Asia, children are told to look for a rabbit on the moon, busily pounding sweet rice cakes with a wooden pestle. Some see the rabbit's ears in the shadows and craters, hopping across the silvery plain. During the Mid-Autumn Festival, families gather to share mooncakes and gaze upward, telling tales of Chang'e, the moon goddess, and her faithful lunar companion. It's a story of longing, of loss and reunion, and the gentle hope that loved ones, even if far away, are watching the same moon. Travel west, and you'll find other myths dancing in the moonlight. In many Native American traditions, the moon is a wise grandmother, lighting the way for those who travel at night and keeping watch over all living things. In some African stories, the moon is a clever trickster or a patient guardian, outwitting the sun or teaching animals the ways of the world. Aboriginal Australians tell of the Moon Man, whose changing face reflects the cycles of life, death, and renewal. In Greco-Roman myths, the moon was a goddess Selene, or Luna, driving her chariot across the heavens each night, her silver hair trailing starlight. The ancient Greeks saw the story of Endymion, a mortal loved by the moon goddess, forever asleep but forever young, watched over by her glowing gaze. In India, the moon, or Chandra, is a god of coolness and calm, who brings comfort and healing as he rides his white antelope through the sky. And then, there are tales of separation and longing the moon as a lover forever apart from the sun, chasing, but never quite reaching, their story written in phases and eclipses. Some see the dark marks on the moon as the shape of a woman carrying firewood, or a man exiled for his mistakes, a gentle reminder that even mistakes can find a place in the light. Even in the modern world, we continue to add to the moon's wardrobe of stories. Poets and songwriters, filmmakers, and children with flashlights under blankets all find new meaning in its glow. The moon is a mirror, reflecting our questions, our hopes, and our need to find wonder in the darkness. So as you lie back and close your eyes, imagine the gentle quilt of moon myths wrapping around you, stories from every corner of the world, stitched together with dreams, wishes, and soft silver light. Once in a while, the moon earns the title blue, not for its color, but for its timing. It is the universe's way of surprising us with an extra chapter. The phrase, "once in a blue moon," drifts through everyday language, a gentle shorthand for rare and wonderful surprises. But what exactly is a blue moon, and why does it capture the imagination? The answer, like so many things in the night sky, is a story of both science and a touch of magic. A blue moon isn't really blue, at least, not in color. Instead, it refers to a rare moment in the lunar calendar, when there are 2 full moons within a single calendar month, or, in another tradition, when a season contains 4 full moons instead of the usual 3. Most years, each month is marked by a single full moon, a reliable lantern lighting up the sky. But every 2 to 3 years, the rhythm shifts, and a second full moon sneaks in before the month is over. This unexpected visitor is the blue moon. The name may have come from old misunderstandings, mistranslations, or the human love of whimsy. Long ago, people used poetic names for each full moon: the wolf moon, the harvest moon, the cold moon. But when an extra full moon appeared, it was sometimes called blue as a way of standing apart, a marker of the unusual. Over time, the phrase found its way into songs and stories, eventually meaning anything rare, beautiful, or out of the ordinary. On extremely rare occasions, the moon really can look blue, but only when the sky itself is changed by volcanic ash or wildfire smoke, scattering red light and letting blue shades peek through. These nights are even rarer, nature painting the moon in colors that defy routine and expectation. For stargazers and storytellers alike, a blue moon is a reason to pause and wonder. It's a reminder that even the most predictable things, cycles, calendars, routines, can shift, leaving space for something special to appear. Maybe you found yourself looking up on such a night, noticing the fullness of the moon and feeling a quiet thrill. The extra full moon is like an extra page at the end of a book, a secret chapter you didn't expect. Many cultures have woven blue moons into celebrations and beliefs. Some see it as a lucky omen, a time for wishes or new beginnings. Others simply enjoy the beauty, knowing that this is a sky show you won't see again for years. Astronomers and sky watchers often use the moment as an excuse to gather, to point out constellations, to trade stories under the extra glow. So next time you hear the phrase, "once in a blue moon," remember that it's more than just a saying. It's a nod to the moon's ability to surprise, to keep even the oldest eyes looking up with curiosity. In a universe full of rhythms and routines, a blue moon is a gentle nudge to celebrate the rare, the unexpected, and the quietly magical. Humans have long suspected the moon tugs at our sleep, just as it tugs at tides. Some studies suggest we rest differently under its glow, though the effect is subtle and mysterious. For as long as people have watched the night sky, the moon has been a companion to sleep and dreams. Its soft light through a bedroom window has lulled countless children and comforted tired wanderers. Yet for all its gentle beauty, the moon's changing phases have also sparked questions. Does it really affect the way we rest? Why do some nights feel more restless and others more peaceful when the moon is bright? Folklore is rich with stories of the moon's influence on sleep. In some traditions, a full moon is blamed for strange dreams or nights when rest is hard to find. Words like lunacy and lunatic trace their roots to Luna, the Roman goddess of the moon, hinting at a time when people believed the moon could stir up moods and imaginations. Farmers, poets, and night shift workers all shared their observations. Sometimes, when the moon was full, the world just felt a little different. Science has tried to solve this lunar riddle. Some studies have found that people take slightly longer to fall asleep or experience lighter sleep around the time of the full moon. In one small experiment, volunteers in a sleep lab, even with no view of the sky, slept about 20 minutes less when the moon was at its brightest. Other research, however, finds little or no effect. The truth remains softly out of reach, a mystery as gentle as moonlight itself. What is certain is that moonlight can fill a room, turning night into almost day. In rural places without city lights, a full moon can be so bright that shadows appear, as if the world is gently glowing. It's no wonder that our ancient ancestors, living closer to the rhythms of the sky, noticed the moon's subtle sway. For some, the extra light brought peace of mind. For others, it meant tossing and turning, their sleep gently nudged by the silver glow. Even today, the moon's rhythm gives a sense of comfort and order. Its steady waxing and waning mark the passing of time, a reliable guide when all else seems to shift. Some people choose to embrace the moon's presence, using full moon nights to pause, reflect, and let dreams wander a little further. Others close the curtains, seeking deeper darkness, happy to let the moon keep watch from above. Perhaps that is the real magic. The moon reminds us that we are part of a wider, wilder world, a world where light and shadow, rest and wakefulness drift in gentle cycles. Whether it truly tugs at your dreams or simply keeps you company, the moon's glow connects us to generations of sleepers who have gazed up and wondered, drifting in and out of sleep beneath the same familiar face. So tonight, let the moon watch over you as you sleep. Whether your dreams are deep or restless, remember that you share the night with a sky full of stories, each one waiting to be dreamed. When Earth casts its shadow across the moon, we see a slow fade into red. It is as though the moon blushes at being caught in the Earth's embrace. Lunar eclipses are among the most enchanting spectacles in the night sky, a kind of celestial hide-and-seek that happens when the sun, Earth and moon line up just right. During these rare moments, the familiar silver face of the moon begins to darken, as if someone has dimmed the lights. Slowly, patiently, the Earth's shadow stretches across the lunar surface, covering it bit by bit, until the whole moon is bathed in a mysterious coppery glow. It's a gentle process, no sudden flashes, no rumbles or shakes. Just a slow-motion dance watched by millions on the ground and countless creatures who have no idea why the moon is changing. Some call it a blood moon, for the way the usual brightness is replaced by rich shades of red, orange and deep gold. This colourful transformation isn't just for show, it's the result of sunlight passing through the thin veil of Earth's atmosphere. Imagine standing on the moon during a total lunar eclipse. If you looked up, you would see the sun hidden behind a dark Earth, but the planet would be ringed with a halo of fiery red light, sunsets and sunrises from every edge of the world, all happening at once. It is this bent and filtered sunlight that spills into the Earth's shadow and gently illuminates the moon, painting it with the colours of evening. Lunar eclipses have long fascinated people. Ancient cultures watched in awe, sometimes with fear, sometimes with celebration. To some, the changing moon was a dragon devouring the light, a sign to light fires, or bang drums and call the moon back from darkness. Others saw it as a moment of renewal, a cosmic reminder that light and shadow always trade places, that even the brightest things have their time to rest. For astronomers, lunar eclipses are gifts. They provide a rare chance to study both the moon and Earth's atmosphere. The reddish hue tells scientists about dust, clouds, and pollution circling our planet, offering quiet clues about our own world even as we look up at another. The best part of a lunar eclipse is that it asks nothing of us. You don't need special equipment, just clear skies and a little patience. Unlike solar eclipses, lunar ones are safe to watch with the naked eye, an open invitation to gather friends, step outside in the cool night, and witness the moon's slow, shy transformation. It's a reminder that the cosmos can surprise us in soft, gentle ways, asking us only to pause and look up. So the next time Earth's shadow begins to creep across the moon, let yourself enjoy the cosmic peekaboo. Watch as the moon blushes and glows, and remember, even the most familiar faces sometimes change, just for a moment, before returning to their steady, comforting glow. Early astronomers mapped the moon with telescopes, giving craters grand names. Some maps were charmingly wrong, their errors frozen like doodles in history's notebook. Imagine peering up at the moon through an old brass telescope, the kind with creaky gears and cloudy glass. The view would shimmer and wobble, but the sense of discovery would be as clear as day. For centuries, the moon was a blank slate, a silver disk, rising and setting with the tide of night. But with the invention of the telescope, suddenly there were mountains, valleys, seas, and craters waiting to be explored. Early astronomers were enchanted. With every new full moon, they traced its patterns, sketching what they saw on parchment or paper by candlelight. Some of the names they gave were practical, describing shapes and shadows. Others were grand, honouring kings, philosophers and gods. The moon became a kind of celestial map book, its features labelled like the cities and rivers on a medieval chart. Sometimes, these maps were wonderfully, adorably wrong. A mountain might be drawn as a sea, a crater mistaken for a volcano, or a line of shadows turned into a river that didn't exist. Some early astronomers believed the dark maria, or seas, were real oceans, places where lunar ships might someday sail. Others imagined forests, cities, and even shining lights that flickered like distant fires, a moon alive with possibility. One famous lunar mapmaker, Giovanni Riccioli, named craters after great thinkers: Copernicus, Kepler, Plato. His system, drawn in 1651, endures to this day, a quiet tribute to human curiosity. But not every name lasted. Some of the earliest maps are filled with forgotten saints and long-vanished kingdoms, history's doodles preserved forever in moonlight. The errors themselves tell a gentle story. They are reminders that discovery is often messy, that every explorer leaves a trail of corrections behind. Later, astronomers built on these early sketches, refining the outlines, correcting the mix-ups, and even poking fun at old mistakes. Yet the sense of wonder never faded. If anything, it grew, with each new detail brought into focus. In the 20th century, as cameras and spacecraft carried us closer, lunar maps became more precise. The Apollo missions mapped landing sites down to the meter, drawing crisp new lines over the smudges of old. But even now, amateur astronomers create their own maps, naming unnamed craters, tracing shadows, and dreaming up new stories. There's something beautifully human about wanting to name and map what we see in the sky. The moon's maps, right or wrong, are not just records of craters and mountains, but of the people who watched, wondered, and scribbled their ideas into the story of discovery. So, as you gaze up at the moon, remember all the hands that have tried to capture its surface, each map a blend of fact and imagination. In every charming misstep, there's an invitation to keep exploring, to keep doodling, and to leave room for a little mystery in the notebook of the night. 6 American flags stand on the moon today, though their colors have long since bleached white by sunlight. They wave not in air but in imagination. The idea of a flag on the moon feels almost like a storybook scene, a patch of cloth planted in a land where no wind blows, on a world so far away that the journey there once seemed impossible. When Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin first set foot on lunar soil in 1969, one of their tasks was to carefully unfold and raise the American flag beside their fragile lander. They wanted to leave a symbol, not of conquest, but of exploration, a gentle handshake with the universe. Since then, 5 more missions have carried flags to the moon, each one planted with ceremony and a quiet sense of awe. If you could visit those landing sites today, you'd find a small collection of poles standing quietly in the dust, a silent tribute to the spirit of adventure. The fabric is no longer red, white, and blue. Decades of harsh sunlight, with no atmosphere to soften its power, have stripped away the colors, leaving the flags pale and ghostly. Their history, written in faded threads. There's something magical about the way these flags appear in old photographs. They seem to flutter, caught mid-motion, though we know the truth. There is no wind on the moon. The illusion comes from the way the astronauts twisted the poles into the ground, and the thin metal rod that runs along the top of the flag, holding it open so it could be seen and photographed. The rest was the gentle choreography of human hands shaking out the folds, making sure the stars and stripes would show for all the world to see. Over time, the lunar surface has kept its promise to preserve the past. The footprints, the rover tracks, the equipment, and the flags all remain almost exactly as they were left, untouched by rain or wind. But even the moon cannot protect against sunlight forever. With every sunrise, ultraviolet rays break down the fabric, bleaching and weakening it. One day, perhaps, the flags will be little more than dust themselves, joining the lunar soil in the endless story of time. And yet, the image endures, tiny human symbols standing on an ancient world, proof that curiosity and determination can carry us across the void. The flags may not wave in any earthly breeze, but they flutter in the imagination of everyone who's ever looked up at the moon and wondered what it would be like to stand there. So next time you see the moon, bright and full in the night sky, let your mind wander to those quiet flags, ghostly white now, but still standing. They are not just markers of a single nation's achievement, but reminders that even the smallest symbols can have a place in the biggest stories. On the moon, in the soft dust where silence reigns, 6 flags keep watch, not waving, but waiting for new dreamers to come and add their own footprints to the tale. Songs about the moon could fill libraries. From lullabies to rock ballads, it has been a muse for centuries, a reminder that even science's favorite satellite inspires art. Somewhere, right now, someone is humming a tune inspired by the moon. Maybe it's a parent rocking a sleepy child to the soft strains of "I See the Moon" and "The Moon Sees Me." Maybe it's a pianist tapping out the dreamy notes of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, or a singer pouring longing into "Fly Me to the Moon." The moon glows at the center of so many songs, its steady presence echoing through verses and melodies like a gentle drumbeat in the night. Why does the moon draw so much music from us? Perhaps it's the way it changes, never quite the same from one night to the next, always cycling through new shapes and moods. Musicians, like poets, find endless inspiration in the moon's many faces. Some songs celebrate the romance of a midnight walk beneath its silver gaze, others dwell in the mystery of shadows and secrets cast by its glow. Even its absence, a thin crescent or a hidden new moon, has become a symbol for longing and quiet hope. Across cultures and centuries, the moon has been the backdrop for love stories, heartbreak, and hope. Ancient lullabies soothed children with promises that the moon would watch over them, guarding their dreams until morning. Folk songs mark the passing of months and seasons by its phases. In jazz clubs, torch singers let the moonlight pour over slow dances and soft confessions, while in rock anthems, the moon became a symbol of rebellion and escape. Modern music is just as enchanted. Pop and hip-hop artists drop references to the moon in their lyrics, using it as shorthand for distance, desire, and destiny. Film scores let the moon hang like a silent witness over adventures and quiet heartbreaks alike. Even astronauts, drifting far from home, have carried music with them. Frank Sinatra's "Fly Me to the Moon" was played aboard Apollo 10 as it orbited the lunar surface, a private concert for a crew and their distant companion. But perhaps the most beautiful music is the kind that happens naturally. The rhythm of the tides pulled by the moon is like the planet's slow heartbeat. Crickets, frogs, and even birds sing more loudly on full moon nights. Sometimes, it seems as if the whole world is performing under the moon's baton, weaving together science and art, fact and feeling. So as you settle in for sleep tonight, let your mind drift to the moon's library of music, a collection never quite finished, always growing, every song a small tribute to the wonder above. Whether you're a listener, a singer, or a quiet dreamer, the moon's music is always playing, soft as a lullaby, timeless as the night. Scientists dream of building bases where astronauts could live on the moon for weeks or months at a time. Imagine neighborhoods beneath silver skies, a quiet suburb just beyond Earth. For centuries, the moon was an unreachable dream, a distant lantern whose secrets we could only guess. Then, in a burst of courage and creativity, humans built rockets, crossed the void, and left their footprints in the dust. Now, as technology grows ever more wondrous, the next chapter of moon travel is quietly unfolding. The vision is no longer just about short visits or waving flags, but about staying, building homes, neighborhoods, and outposts on that silent, silvery world. Picture it: astronauts waking up inside softly lit habitats, built to protect against the cold and radiation of lunar nights. Outside their windows, the view is like nothing on Earth. No trees, no rivers, just rolling grey hills and a sky full of stars, with Earth shining in the distance like a blue and white jewel. Instead of morning traffic, there might be a gentle glide in a rover, heading out across the dust for a day's work in science, construction, or exploration. The first moon bases will be humble, a few connected modules, solar panels soaking up sunlight, and maybe a greenhouse full of bright green plants, thriving in lunar soil mixed with a little Earth magic. Water will come from ice dug out of deep craters, recycled carefully and treasured like gold. Meals might be simple at first, but one day, future lunar cooks could be baking bread, growing tomatoes, and even harvesting strawberries beneath artificial lights. Scientists dream of telescopes on the moon's far side, away from the noisy radio signals of Earth, peering deeper into the universe than ever before. Some imagine entire laboratories, where gravity is low enough for new kinds of experiments, or where robots and humans work side by side, piecing together the story of our solar system from ancient rocks and dust. For children growing up in these moon-based neighborhoods, playing outside might mean bouncing across the landscape in slow motion, or gazing up at Earth instead of the moon. New traditions will be born: moon festivals, stargazing picnics, maybe even sports played in 1/6 gravity. Birthdays and holidays will be celebrated far from home, but with messages and video calls sent across space, weaving old connections into new stories. Of course, many challenges remain. Living on the moon will demand new inventions, smarter suits, better shelters, fresh ways to stay healthy and happy, in a world where the air, the weather, and even the sunrise are not like those on Earth. But each challenge is a chance for creativity, for teamwork, and for a fresh sense of wonder. So, as you drift towards sleep, picture the future lunar suburbs, glowing softly under a silver sky, neighbors waving across crater valleys, scientists and dreamers building a new kind of home. The moon, once a distant mystery, is becoming part of our neighborhood, and who knows, maybe one day, someone listening to this very story will wake up to greet the morning on the moon. And so, as our 100 moonlit facts come to a close, let yourself drift a little further into calm. The moon, after all, is always there, keeping its slow, steady watch above our world. Whether it's pulling on the tides, glowing through your bedroom window, or whispering myths across the ages, it has always been our companion in the dark. As you rest, may your thoughts float as gently as moonlight on still water. Sleep well, dream deeply, and may your night be full of quiet silver skies. Good night, from Sleepy Science Story.